Okay, good enough Shabbos, everybody. We will start today from the bottom of Zion and Beis we're up to, and we'll go to the Mishnah on Chasam and Beis. Okay, so the Gemara discusses weiter. The Gemara is quoting the Mishnah where it says Im Amra Tameani that we say that her mincha gets. It says Amra Tameani, then she has to write a ksuba, and that she has to write a ksuba. She has to write a shayva on a ksuba, and she goes out. So you see it's a machlekes, and it's a machlekes I think in ksubas, and we want to bring a riot from here that we do write a shayva. Amar Baya, Tani mikras. Learn so that you rip up the ksuba, and not that you write a shayva. Amar Levi Shaveris Tani. It says Shaveris, so obviously he's throughout Shas. Rav and Abaya have this machlekes. When there's an issue, do you continue with the literal pshat and you finagle, or you rewrite the pshat? And I think that's if you go through Abaya and Rav, there's a bunch of machlekes like this all over Shas. So you see, Rava has to finagle the pshat, but has to do an akinta in the Mishnah, and Abaye just changes the lashon. I think the goal of Shitasi. That's the mahalach in learning. So he says that no, we're talking about a place that they didn't write ksuba. You don't have a choice. Everyone holds you write a shaver in a place where you don't write a ksuba, where you don't have write ksuba. They didn't write ksuba because of xeris from the gaim. Okay, so the Amr Tameani. So this is again quoting the Mishnah. The Amr Tahairani. She insists that she's tar. Malan Isa Lashar Mizrach. Malan Isa Hasam Kaima. She's already standing there. What does that mean? What do we have to Malan? Before we said that she's in the Shar Mizrach. The Gemara the Maskina La they make her crazy. They bring her up and they bring her down. To be mitzvah, to make her to be mavalva and to make her agitated. This is also by Edim, by Ede, I think Ede Nefashis Dafka. Yeah, Ede Nefashis that they also agitate them, so they should retract their edus if they're saying false. And we said again, the Mishnah also said that we agitate them like Edom, that we intimidate them like Edom and Fashas. Tasham mashkan as a site is Vishal, and a site is Achsevah Hamid Hakain as Isha Lefnei Hashem. So you see that it has to be in the Azar. But saying Namin Achsevah Hamid Hakain as Hamid Tahir. Hamitar also the rest of the pasuk is also about me. It's Hashem Hamitar versus the Fnei Hashem Pesach Hayyimite. So he has to be in Azara. Ella, you led this my time. What does it mean by you led this? What does it mean? What by you led this? How do I know? And why does she have to be in Azara? If because she has to be there for her karbanis because the Tanya ain karvishal ain karbanai shal adam karv ella im kain aymed al gabav. So that person has to be next to his carbon. Yihachi zavim v'zavis nami. Then it should say that zav and zava also should be in that place. And they would also have to be in that place. And we took one example of a yiladis and a zava which have a similar tuma, I guess, or they're both there for karbanas and not for other processes like the tzayra and the saita. We don't have two women drinking at the same time. She shouldn't be emboldened and draw encouragement from her friend, and she should be on her own. And if she's tamei, she should admit. And if she's tar, then in that case, let her be emboldened by her tahara, but not by her friend. That's not the reason. Ella Amar Kra Isa Levada. It says in the pasuk Isa, and we learn out Levada. The pasuk says. By the Heshbia Isa Hakayin, and we learn out Isa Levada. She has to be by herself. The Tanakama, for the Gemara Hasiv Isa, the Tanakama says that according to Tanakama also says Isa. So why does Tanakama have to come on to the svara of you shouldn't have Liba Gaspar? Tanakama Rav Shimon, he Darish time of the Kra, Matam Ka'amar. And Rav Shimon saying a reason. Matam Isa Levada. What's the reason why the pasuk says Isa? Again, Rav Shimon agrees that it says Isa, and we learn out from there Isa Levada. That it's only one at a time. Rav Shimon saying the reason. What's the difference? What's the difference? Is there enough minute between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda? Says a woman who's tittering, who has obvious fear, and she's still drinking. That means she really thinks that she's tar. And we're not worried that that woman is emboldened by a friend because she has a pachad. If the Gemara recesses mimashkin, va'ain eisen recesses mimashkin, could you do even a recesses according to Rav Shimon? Would you be able to? So again, they're not going to be according to Rav Shimon, where the reason of the pasuk comes into play in the halacha and it has an effect on the halacha. A recesses would be mutter to drink. For the Gemara, a recesses would be mutter to drink with her friend. For the Gemara, recesses mimashkin with her friend. But in we have another issue of we don't group together mitzvahs. The Tan ain't mashkin shtei saitis kachas. We don't process two saitis at once. But ain't mitar and shtei mitzarin kachas. We don't do two mitzar processes at once. But ain't writes in shtei avadim kachas. We don't drill the ear of two avadim at once. We don't chop the heads of two of eglah rufus at once. The fisha ain't mitzvah chavidas. We don't want to make it seem like we're just trying to get the mitzvah over with. In the Mishnah, the Brisa, that says that you don't do chavidas issues, so even a recesses would be a problem. That's talking about one kind. So for one kind to process two saitis at once, it looks like you're just trying to get everything over with. But if there's two kahanim there, then I only run into the problem of liba gaspa, which if I says according to Rav Shimon would not be a problem. So the machlekes would be at the end of the Gemara. The machlekes would be according to Rav Yehuda. According to Rav Yehuda, a recesses, two recessim, two women who are recesses, two women who are sitting with two separate kahanim. Even in that case, Rav Yehuda would hold it's not a problem. It's a problem of Isa, the loy. Isa Levada. We learn Isa. It says in the pasuk Isa and her alone. But according to Shimon, in the case of two kahanim, and they're both sitting, and they both have an obvious fear of the mesaita. In that case, it would not be a problem. You don't have the problem of the begaspa because they're assessors. You don't have the problem of chavidas because you have two kahanim. The achayin, like as a bigdan, and the achayin grabs her clothing. Taner rabbanon upara esreisha. Esreisha isha. Ainly ela reisha gufa minayin. How do you know that you uncover her body also? Tamalayim ha isha. Raisha Haisha, you don't have to say both, right? Aleph, Emerakain as a Isha, the Fnei Hashem Paras of Raisha Isha, you don't have to say Raisha Isha. We're talking about Isha. So you uncover her head and you uncover her body. Ainly Ella Raisha Gufi Minayin Tamalema Isha Imkain Matamalema Upara as Raish. What's the point of saying that you uncover her head? In other words, if I uncover, I think the question is if you uncover her body, of course you uncover her hair. Hold on. Oh, So what? Right? You could just say a para isha that she should get uncovered legami. It would encompass everything. You further. There's an extra layer of uncovering by her hair where the kain actually undoes her braids. I don't know if he does it himself, if he touches her, or they have someone on staff that does it. But besides for taking off her hat, they also, whatever she's covering her hair with, they also undo her hair, mamish, to make her unkempt and degrade her. Rabbi Yehuda says that if her chest was nice, if her hair was nice, they didn't uncover these parts. The name of Rabbi Yehuda chayish leherhura. You're saying that Rabbi Yehuda is chayish, so people are going to be mahar, and no, they're going to see her and be aroused, have inappropriate thoughts because of it. Rabbanan lechayshi and Rabbanan are not chayishis. We have a gemara that seems to say the opposite. This is talking about somebody who gets stoned. What state of undress do they get stoned in? The Tanya ish mechasen. I said paragraph milfana veisha shnei prakim echad milfana echad melachara. Mepnei shekula erva. Rabbi Yehuda says that when a woman or a man are being stoned, the man has one piece of cloth to cover his genitals in the front, and then they stone him. So he's basically naked, just one piece of cloth, a small piece of cloth. A woman has a piece of cloth in the front and in the back. And that's because you could see the arrow from the front and the back. So therefore they cover from both sides. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. So again, just right off the top, Rabbi Yehuda, who's nervous that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't say over there when she's being stoned, that if she looks good, then you don't undress her. It says everyone. You undress them always, and you give them a very, very small piece of clothing, and that's how you stone them. So that's right. There's a steer between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda. We're going to continue with the Brisa anyway. So the Chachamim say that ish is completely undressed. I would assume that minus this piece of cloth, but the isha goes fully clothed. The reason of a deer, why Rabbi Yehuda switches his logic, Shema takes him in Bezin Zachis. Over here, I'm sorry, over here by Sotah, where he says that we don't want to get her undressed unless if she looks good, if she's if she liba no, because maybe we don't know, it's a 50-50 chance that she's going to come out of this unscathed. And if she comes out, the Izgar by Perchik Huna, and the Perchik Huna that was sitting there watching her, they are going to have now Hirurim about her, and she's free. She's a free woman, even if she goes back to her husband. She's maybe they're gonna be right there for her. They're gonna chase her. They're gonna try to be have relations with her. Hassam, but over here by a skila, mistalka, she's dying now. This is the last step before she's a vade death. Now, even though it's not vade, because there could be some source for her, but usually by the time we get to this point into the process of she's mama standing there, arum, ready to be thrown off the mountain, there's very little chance of her getting off the hook. If you're going to say that they're going to run after somebody else, the taiva doesn't go from one woman to another. So they're going to, even if they're going to be a taiva with this woman, they throw off a cliff, she's done, and then they're not going to take this taiva and move it to someone and be mitchell in another area. Amarava, the Rabbi Yehuda kasha, the Rabbanim don't like kasha. What do you mean? You don't have a problem with Rabbi Yehuda also? With the Rabbanim also? Amarava. Rabbi Yehuda like kasha kedushin, like we just learned. Again, Rabbi Yehuda says that because over here we're chayshes, maybe if she goes out free after she drinks the Perchik Huna be right for her. Therefore, over here we're chayshes that if she has libana, we don't cover that. The whole reason why we embarrass her, we degrade her over here by Sotah is so that you scare away the other woman from behaving in this manner. Over there by skila, there's no reason to be. You don't need more of a deterrent for bad behavior than getting thrown off the mountain. She doesn't have to also be undressed for that. And over there, and over there, we're going to see later. There's a mile of being dressed by skila. And no, it's in general. There's a mile of being dressed so that she doesn't have bizyanis. There's no reason to give her extra bizyanis if the whole purpose is to discourage this negative behavior. Her getting thrown off the mountain is enough of a discouragement. Which, as the Sotah, if it's only totally if the only downside is if she gets punished, we want to deter this whole behavior, and even the process should be embarrassing. And if you're going to say so do both, do both by her. In other words, get her undressed and stone her. That you should choose a good misa for them, and we learn out that by a man having clothing on during skila is very painful because it delays the death to some degree. So it slows down the death and it causes more pain. The upside is that you get less embarrassed. So you're standing there, you have a choice to be arum and die quicker, which is ideal in that scenario, or to be fully clothed and get less bushas and die a little bit longer. And it takes a little bit longer to die. So the Havla says that men, I guess the Gemara takes as a klal, men have less busha when it comes to being undressed. So get them undressed and let them suffer less on the way down. And women who are more sensitive to that would rather be in a little bit more pain and be fully clothed. So that's why we don't take off her clothes if she's also getting thrown off the mountain. We have a deterrent for all the people not to do whatever she's doing, whatever she's getting killed for, and we don't have to embarrass her on top of that. Maybe the Rav Nachman tonight, let's say they're arguing in Rav Nachman whether we choose a good misa for her or not, and that's why the Rabbanan don't care. That's why Yehuda doesn't care to throw off. Maybe that's good for the machlekes. The Gemara L'Kuli Ama is the Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman. Hachmakamufi Maasav B'Zjayna Adif Tvei Mitzar the Gufay Maasav Mitzar the Gufay Adif Tvei Mitzar. Rav Yehuda says she would rather die quicker and be undressed, and Rav Rabbanan say no, she'd rather be dressed and die a little slower. If she was wearing white clothing, the Gemara says to switch it out to black clothing. If black looks good on her, then give her something disgusting. The point is to degrade her. It's not a din in black and white. It's a din in something that makes her feel less than, and to degrade her. And this is all to deter this behavior, which even if she didn't do the Aveira Mamish, if she wasn't nitla with the guy, she still hid with him, she still schmoozed with him, she still acted inappropriately with him. And we wanted to deter that by other Bnei Yisrael. If she had jewelry, pshita, If I tell you, you have to uncover here, rip off her clothes, and switch out her dress for something disgusting, you're going to tell her she's going to let her wear her earrings and her choker. And the Gemara says no, it's a chiddush. Why? Because now the tema v'hani isla b'zayin tvei to the army inchi shaliach artel v'sayim misani kamar shalom. No, again, just to touch the words. If I might think that there's a higher element of bizyanis, somebody who's disheveled and half naked and wearing a nose ring. It looks like comical, and people have it. And the example the Gemara brings is someone who's completely naked and wearing shoes. It looks just ridiculous. On top of being naked, you also look ridiculous. So Kamar Shalom that no, this gold will enhance her appearance, will make her feel better about herself, and we want to take that away. So we take away the nose rings and the chokers and all the jewelry, even though there's a tat to say that she looks more ridiculous wearing jewelry and all the shell. Maybe chaval, and afterwards we take a string and tie it on top of her chest to hold up the clothing. Is it ma'akiv? Is this a din ma'akiv, or is it just a just that she shouldn't be completely exposed? Her clothing shouldn't fall off her. Because again, we ripped her neck open, so what's really holding up everything? Mishum, everything. Mishum shalai yishma. So the Gemara is the two sudden. Mishum shalai yishma to begadim alehu ubetzilta katan namisagi. Is it any string is enough as long as the clothing don't slip off? Like Dilma Mishum the amamah hay chagula betzilta the it says that she belted herself. She got herself dressed to be with this guy. So this is me the connected me. The pikach kain maybe chaval mitzri the kaishel mid that day. And therefore it would be makam. Malay tanisu we learned it in brisa. Rachach maybe chaval mitzri kaishel midada shalai kadei shalai yishmetu begadim ela. They see the parish of Mishnah brisa. That it's only just to keep her clothes on, and not it doesn't have to. It's a ma'akev. Right, so there is part of the era. Gufa kasha. The Gemara saying the Mishnah cites itself. Ama kol right, so there is baraya. Ama loishna gabi loishna nashi. It means anybody, right? Men and women. But the tani kol nashim mutaris. So there is nashim. So it's mashma nashim and nashim lay. I'm going to buy again the same type of machlekes between Abaye and Rava. Kasha and the Mishnah. The Abaye is going to switch to lashon, and the Rava is going to make a finagle. Say it, then it means only on women. He says switch it. So Targum will learn that it's anashim. See, nashim are allowed to nashim to come. Rava says it says raya. Anybody who katani. It says anybody who wants to see can see. Ella amarava kol right to live is raya. Loishna gav v'loishna nashi v'nashim chayavas l'reis shenema v'noisay kol anashim v'lois hasiyana kizamaskana. She should. It's a mitzvah for women to come see because they should be deterred from acting this way. Mitzvah Hashem, we will learn again Matzah Shabbos, and Be'ezus Hashem we will chap two blat and catch up. With Hashem's help. Have a good Shabbos.